I'm joining Donald Trump today at the Department of Justice. This is a live stream. Join me while I join him. This is our president, guys. The president of the United States of America. He's giving a speech at the Department of the Justice. Why this is funny? Because these people tried to arrest him just a few months ago. This is the equivalent of like going into your enemy's headquarters and dancing on their desks and giving a speech at the enemy headquarters, right? These people tried to get him arrested and go to jail. And now he's at their headquarters giving a speech, basically rubbing it in their noses that they lost. So I'm going to be watching that.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam, very much. What a job you're doing. And it's a true honor to be with you today. This is a storied
The President of the United States, ladies and gentlemen.
ever was one. And based on the crowd, I think we broke the all-time record. But as we begin a proud new chapter in the chronicles of American justice, this really is something. We're turning the page on 4 long years of corruption, weaponization, and surrender to violent criminals, and we're restoring fair, equal,
Like these
and
people wanted
impartial
to arrest him.
justice under the constitutional rule of law. And you're the people that are doing it. Very, very proud of all of you.
It's so crazy because he would have been in
Under the
jail
Trump administration, the
if he didn't
DOJ
win.
and the FBI will once again become the premier crime-fighting agencies on the face of the earth. People ask me, what am I going to do about law enforcement all the time? The fake news back there, they're asking
The
me
fake
that
news.
all the time. What am I going to do? And when are you going to do it? And I answer them by saying I've already done most of it by appointing the people that I've appointed. They're sitting right here. They've done most of it. I don't do it, they do it. Right, Pam? I think.
I like Trump because he's
You're
funny.
so tough, they just
Like,
don't know yet.
he could be wrong about a lot of stuff.
Let me begin by
But he's
congratulating
funny.
the incredible people who will lead these.
Is it okay to vote for
reforms.
someone because they're funny?
And we start with somebody that you
I'm not
just saw,
saying
Pam Bondi. She's
that's what I did,
extraordinary, and I've known
but
her very well for
kinda.
a long time.
Here, I'm gonna show you guys the view.
I watched her
The
for a
live
long time
view.
in Florida, for years in Florida. Highly experienced. She seems so young, but she's highly experienced. That I can
Here we
tell
go.
you, she was a phenomenal
This is
attorney
what I'm looking
general
at.
in Florida, and
He's at the
she did a
Department of
really
Justice.
amazing job. Also, our new director of the FBI, Kash Patel. Kash, right.
By the way,
A man that I'm very proud of. I've known him and Emil for a long time under
Kash
tremendous
Patel
pressure. I saw these guys
is not a
under
very
some of
American
the
name,
most
but neither
corrupt
is
judges.
Obama.
It's not even
Neither is
imaginable
Vasily.
how corrupt they were. And these guys never wilted. They never.
Was that racist? Should
They
I
were
not have said that?
shy. They fought. They weren't afraid.
Who's
and
this
they were
Kash Patel
brilliant.
guy?
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Principal Associate Deputy Attorney Emil Beauvais. And thank you both very much. They're great people. They're great people. The Chief of Staff, who's so highly respected, Chad Mizell. Thank you, Chad. Chad? Thank you, Chad.
So I'm guessing he's gonna go through a list of people
Our next
and kiss their booty.
Administrator of the DEA, Terry Cole. Terry? Thank you, Terry.
DEA? Oh, the drug. Okay, the drug
Senior
people.
counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Boy, I've been watching him on television last couple
I
of
think
weeks.
it's crazy
He is really a tough one.
because he
He's a
took the
great one.
entire
Leo
justice
Durrell, you
system
watch how good he's gonna be.
that tried to
He's gonna be so good.
prosecute him
Thank you, Leo.
and replaced everybody.
Great guy. Assistant Attorney General of the Antitrust
America
Division,
is a
who's got an
crazy
incredible
country, dude.
reputation. She'll do very, very well. Gail Slater. Thank you, Gail. Good luck. Great job.
It's kind of wild. Like, I didn't even know you could do
We're
that.
joined by many, many great friends and terrific friends, and I won't be able to, too many to name, but some that I just see very quickly. General Flynn, thank you for being here. Here's a man who went through hell, by the way, and he shouldn't have. He's a patriot. He went through hell. We're also pleased to be joined by Senator Chuck Grassley, House Majority
Senator Chuck Grassley.
Yes, hi, Chuck.
I don't know
House
who these
Majority
people are.
Whip Tom Emmer. Tom, great job you're doing. Representative Guy Reschenthaler, one of the toughest names to say, but I got it.
This is the thing. They could just pull people out of the ether
And State Attorney
and appoint
General
them.
Kim Paxton,
We
thank
don't
you
know who
very
these
much.
people are.
Thank you very much.
You know? I don't know who these people
Somebody
are.
who was with us early on, and she's really become a big star and very popular, Brenna Bird. Thank you, Brenna. Thank you very much. Steve Marshall, Alan Wilson, James.
I still can't get over the fact that these people
Chris Carr,
tried to arrest
Dave
him,
Sunday,
and
Marty
now
Jackley,
he's
as well as White House Deputy
at
Chief
the
of
headquarters
Staff, Stephen Miller. What
giving a
man
speech.
Stephen is. Become a big star.
The Department of Justice was coming after him hard just a few months ago.
Steve has been something very special.
And now he's dancing
Generations, the Federal
on their
Department
desk.
of Justice was one of America's most revered institutions.
That's crazy, dude.
The men and women of the DOJ brought
It's
down
so
the
crazy
mafia,
to me.
hunted down the killers, kingpins, and spies, tracked down terrorists and traitors, and tore down corrupt political machines all across America. This department commanded the
I think he's a
respect and
funny guy,
admiration
dude.
of the entire world. And with Pam and Cash and all of the people I introduced,
Oh,
and far
God.
more, big numbers, and all of you sitting
American
back there,
politics
I
has become
recognize so many
a
of you.
comedy, like a
But with you
sitcom.
leading the way, it'll soon be the
Even
most
more like a
admired and most
telenovela.
respected of all. You're going to be more respected, and I really believe that there's also a lot of things to solve, a lot of problems to solve.
Anybody else
That's
agree?
gonna put you in the upper tier and maybe
A
the
reality
top
TV
tier.
show.
I believe that's going to happen. So proud of the people in this room. But first, we must be honest about the lies and abuses that have occurred within these walls. Unfortunately, in recent years, a corrupt group of hacks and
Here we go.
radicals within the ranks of the American government obliterated the trust and goodwill built up over generations. They weaponized the vast powers of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies to try and thwart the will of the American people. You remember the 51 intelligence agents that said, as an example, that Hunter Biden's laptop from hell came from Russia when they knew it came right from his bedroom. They knew that. It was a big lie, and they knew it so well. They spied on my campaign, launched
Yeah, that
one
wasn't very
hoax
nice, was
and
it?
disinformation operation after another, broke the law on a colossal scale, persecuted
I bet
my
they never
family,
imagined
staff, and supporters,
that he would be
raided my home, Mar-a-Lago,
president again.
and did everything within their power to prevent me from becoming the president of the United States.
I bet they
With the
never
help
could have
of
imagined.
radicals like Mark Elias, Mark Pomerantz, and these are people that nobody's ever seen anything like it. So many others, but these are people that are bad people.
Bad
Really
hombres.
bad people. They tried to turn America into a corrupt, communist, and third world country. But in the end, the thugs failed and the truth won. Freedom won, justice won, democracy won, and above all, the American people won.
I love his mannerisms.
There could be no more heinous betrayal of American values than to use the law to terrorize the innocent and reward the wicked. That's what they were doing at a level that's never been seen before. And it's exactly what you saw with Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, and their cronies to do the building of the last 4 years.
And then the Biden family got pardoned as a group.
Incalculable.
They got a
What
group
you're gonna
pardon.
build up is likewise
A
something
family
that
pardon.
will be breaking all sorts of
How is
records.
this
They
possible, dude?
sentence
How is this
violent
possible?
criminals while targeting patriotic parents at school board meetings. They drop charges against Antifa and
I wanna get
Hamas
pardoned.
supporters while labeling
It's like
traditional Catholics as domestic terrorists. The
now
Catholics,
Hunter can just go out and
we
do
did very
crimes.
well with the Catholic vote, so I want to thank them for that. They imported.
It's immunity. They got immunity.
Record
I want
numbers.
immunity. I want to go on a
And you
GTA
would say,
style
what's with the Catholics? They're really after the Catholics. So I don't know.
joyride,
A
you
lot
know?
of people, maybe they didn't even know why. They imported illegal alien murderers, drug dealers, and child predators from all over the world to come into our country while putting elderly Christians and pro-life activists
They
on
did
trial
open the border.
for
What's
singing
that about?
hymns and for saying prayers. They went to jail for that. Our predecessors turned this Department of Justice into the Department of Injustice.
Got
I
him.
stand before you today to declare that those days are over, and they are never going to come back. They're never coming back.
Jeez, unbelievable, right?
So now, as the chief law enforcement officer in our country, I will insist upon and demand full
That's
and
crazy.
complete accountability for the wrongs and abuses that have occurred. The American
He would have been in
people
jail
given
if he
us
didn't win.
a mandate like few people thought possible.
And now
We
he's
won every
chief
single swing state.
law
We
enforcement
won the
officer.
popular vote by millions and millions of people.
Only in America.
We won districts, 2,750.
Hope.
Think of that, 2,750 districts compared to 505. So we won it at levels that have, I don't believe, ever seen before. That's the one where you see the map of the United States and it's all red. Red for Republican, not for communist. Red for Republican.
Like directions he's
They
working
would
with?
like it to turn red for communist, but
I'm
it
just
didn't
kidding.
work out that way.
What do I know? I don't know anything.
The American people have given us a mandate and really
Not that
a
Putin was
far-reaching-
KGB or
just
anything.
a far-reaching investigation is what they are demanding into the corruption of our system, and that's exactly, I'm sure, what Pam and Cash and everyone else mentioned here and not mentioned is going
Not
to
like
be doing.
Putin was a
We will expel
colonel.
the rogue actors and corrupt forces from our government.
High-ranking.
We will
communist.
expose and very much
What
expose
do I know?
their egregious crimes and severe misconduct, of which was levels you've never seen anything like it. It's going to be legendary. It's going to also be legendary for the people that are able to seek it out and bring justice. We will restore the scales of justice in America, and we will ensure that such abuses never happen again in our country.
Cheers.
And that's why on day one, I signed an executive order banning all government censorship and directing the removal of every bureaucrat who conspired to attack free speech and many other things.
And him.
Values of America.
Anybody who attacked
My
him.
administration stripped the security clearances of the disgraced intelligence agents who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop.
The biggest purge I've ever seen.
We revoked the clearances of deranged Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, and the crooked law firms that aided their partisan persecutions. And I went through it. These are state and city courts, and the corruption is unbelievable.
I believe that.
We also terminated the clearances of the Biden crime family and Joe Biden himself. He didn't deserve it. In fact, he
The
was
Biden
essentially
crime
found
family,
guilty,
dude.
But they said he was incompetent, and therefore let's not find him guilty, I guess.
The Biden
Nobody
crime
knows what
family,
the
bro.
ruling was, but I didn't want any part of it. I think I would have rather been found guilty than what they found with him.
That has a
He
ring
didn't
to
know
it,
what the hell
doesn't it?
he was doing, and therefore he's let him go. I said, I'd rather be convicted, Pam. I think that was not. I said, please convict me. Don't say that. I pardoned hundreds of political prisoners who had been grossly mistreated.
Nope.
We removed the senior FBI.
You got to see how
officials
messy my
who
room was for a
misdirected
second.
resources to send SWAT teams
The Biden
after
crime
Grand
family,
Olds
dude.
and J6 hostages, and it was a great honor for me to fire. I will tell you this: a great honor to fire James Comey. A great honor. That was nothing. There was no better day.
Didn't he
A lot of
appoint
people
Comey?
said, "Oh, that's too bad you did that," and they said that's going to be. And you know what?
Am I wrong?
They said,
Chat, back me up.
saved the administration because the level.
I
of
sound like a real
corrupt things
streamer
that
now.
We learned after that turned out to be that.
Didn't
they
he
were
appoint
doing,
Comey?
in fact,
Who appointed
really
Comey?
bad things. He was a terrible person. Did terrible things. That
Terrible
persecuted
person.
People, and
Who
all of the
appointed
guys are
Comey?
being an angel. He wasn't an angel. We created
James
a brand new
Comey, I believe his name is.
DOJ task force and anti-Christian bias. And under Director Patel, we're getting the FBI agents out of the headquarters in Washington, D.C. and back on the streets in pursuit of dangerous
Our Lord and
criminals
Savior,
where they
Donald
belong
Trump.
and where they want to
Cheers.
be. And
420
you have that
Fernandez.
big FBI building, and it's a very big building, and they were going to build an FBI headquarters 3 hours away.
That's
in
my
Maryland.
president.
a liberal state, but that has no bearing on what I'm about to say. But we're going to stop it. Not going to let that happen.
Can you guys
We're
hear
gonna
it
build
well?
Another big FBI building right where it is, which would have been the right place because the FBI
Can you
and
hear
the
the speech
DOJ
good?
have to be near each other. You can't every. That's one thing I did learn from this persecution. The FBI and the DOJ work together. Now, in my case, they work together for bad purposes, but they do. They were always together. So how can you have one that's 3 hours away? But one thing I said to Cash, well, we're going to get a great building built. It's going to be a magnificent building. He said, sir, we don't need that kind of room. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm just going to take a old Department of Commerce building that's about 25% the size, and that's what I need. We're going to have the best staff that you've ever seen, and that's what I need. It's in a nice location, but I don't need that big building. Why don't you just sell the site to somebody?
So they're
And,
expanding
we're
the
gonna be very
Department of
happy,
Justice.
and, they want to have far fewer people, but we also want to have them in DC.
Great. I like
If
law
for
and
no
order.
other reason, we like having law enforcement walking the streets of our capital,
Cheers.
because when the bad guys are out there and they see there's an FBI agent, that's
As long as they're not trying to
law
put you in
enforcement,
jail, right?
and they're not going to be acting so bad. We're cleaning up our city. We're cleaning up
This
great
issue with
capital,
authority.
and we're not going to have crime, and we're not going to stand for crime. And we're going to
Yes.
take the graffiti down, and we're already taking the tents down, and we're
Keep the
working
graffiti.
with the administration.
Take
and
out the
if the
tents.
administration can't do the job, we're going to have to take it back and run it through the federal government. But we hope the administration is going to be able. So far, they've been doing very well. The mayor's.
I'm still pretty young,
doing a good
Mr.
job.
Wonderful.
We said there are tents.
I'm only 30.
Galore, right opposite the State Department. They
Talking
have to
smack
come
in the
down,
chat.
and they took them down right away. And so far,
Maybe
so
I should
good.
shave, look younger.
But we want to have a capital that can be the talk of the world. When Prime Minister Modi of India, when
I think that's a good
the
idea.
President of France, and all of these people, the head of Prime Minister of
Clean up the Capitol.
United
Check it
Kingdom,
out.
they all came to see me over the last week and a half. And when they come in, I had the route run. I didn't want to have them see tents. I didn't want.
think
to
that's
have
a
them
really
see
good
graffiti.
idea.
I didn't want to have them see broken barriers and potholes in the roads, and we had it looking beautiful. And we're going to do that for the city, and we're going to have a crime-free capital. When people come here, they're not going to be mugged or shot. Or
That's a
raped.
very good idea.
They're
Should have
gonna
done that a long time ago.
crime-free capital again. It's going to be cleaner and better. And
Do that in
safer than it
California,
was, and
please.
It's not going to take us too long. There's a new phenomenon that is taking place with these violent, vicious lawyers.
We need this
that
in
we have all
California.
over. They play the ref. You know what playing the ref is? Like the great Bobby Knight basketball coach. He'd scream and scream at the ref. He'd scream. I watched him. By the way, I love Bobby Knight because he endorsed me. And having Bobby Knight's endorsement in Indiana was an extremely good thing. A friend of mine said I was running in
Trump
Indiana
talks
at the
smack
time.
about
This
people
was
that endorse him.
early
He
on,
doesn't care.
2016, and I was doing great.
This guy endorsed him and he's
Friend came
talking
up,
smack.
said, "Do you know Bobby Knight?" I said, "No, I don't."
Listen.
But I hear he was a tough cookie. He said he's not only tough, he was beyond tough, but he's the most popular guy you can imagine. It turned out he wanted to endorse me. He called me about 2 years before. He said, "Sir, I'd like to endorse you." I said, "Is this really Bobby Knight?" I said, "It's me." I could tell it was Bobby Knight. He had been known for throwing the chair across the court and slapping a player. Can't do things like that, right? And the man that came in fired him. He was a new administrator for the
Nobody's
contract.
safe, even
that guy didn't last very long.
when you're his
They were
friend.
like 14-0, and they
Trump will
fired
talk
Coach Knight.
smack
That
about
was
you.
not good, but he had a little chip in his shoulder. But he loved Trump, and he came in and he said, "I'd love to endorse you." He said, "If you ever run, please call me." So he said, "Do you know Bobby Knight?" I said, "Well, I don't know him, but he called me
Mr. Wonderful, the
couple of
coffee's
years
right here.
ago. It was an amazing phenomenon. I took his number, and on each side of my desk in New York, I had stacks of paper, like nice and neat, but about 2 feet high each. And I said, I wrote his number down and I put it here 2 years ago.
I'm gonna
I said,
confess.
let me see if I can find it. It was almost like a miracle.
I voted for
I
Trump
love the
because I think
miracles
he's
that
funny.
happen, too. My ear is
Call
still
me an
throbbing.
idiot. I don't care.
That was a miracle. That was a miracle also.
Number
wasn't
one reason why I voted for him.
it? That was a miracle.
Because I
also.
think he's funny. Should I not be allowed to vote?
Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Thank you.
Look at this guy. Look at him.
That was a miracle. Anyway, okay, that's it. That's very nice. Thank you. But so he said, Bobby
He's a
Knight. So I
character,
said, I
dude.
put his name down and I wrote it down. It's in one of these stacks. Let me I lifted up. There would have to be 3,000 pages in each stack. I lifted it up. The first
Lifted it
one,
up.
had no idea. And there was his name on a little card, Bobby Knight with his number. It was like incredible.
This
I
is
tell that
funny,
story all the
dude.
time. And I called him and dialed a number. He said, "I've been waiting for you to call." And he went out and he made a speech for me in
There will
Arena
never
in Indiana, and it was over.
be a
It
president
was
as
over.
funny
He was a
again
tough guy.
as Trump
He actually,
ever in history.
Went a little far.
Forever.
You know, if you remember, he made a great speech because he was actually a motivational type guy.
Nothing
to put it
else. He's
mildly.
funny.
But he left the stage, and then I'm talking, and he walks back onto the stage. I said, "Uh-oh, this is trouble. Why is he coming back?" He was a big guy too. Why is he coming
He's like a
back?
character
He said,
hire
"May I say a few more words?" I said,
or
"Yeah, go
personality
ahead, Bob.
hire
Say a few more words, a little different."
in the
And he
corporation.
said, "Let me tell you something about this guy,
Let me
Trump.
tell you something.
This guy, if he has to, will use the nuclear weapons that we have. He will use. He has no fear. He's going to use, and that's the kind of guy."
What?
And he walked off the stage. I said, I think I'm in big trouble, Pam."
That's
That was
not good.
but it worked out okay. In the meantime, we won the state in a landslide, and it was great.
By the way,
It
I
was
do
just
believe
an
Trump
amazing
would use
period of
nukes
time. But
if
this
he
is
had
the
to.
most amazing period of time. I think this is
I think he
more
would.
amazing. What's taken place has been more amazing. I think it's more consequential, and
That would be
if
his
we do
pressing
the
of the
job,
button
you know,
move.
one of the big media outlets said what we did was the most consequential election in the last 129 years. Well, if we do the job that we're all capable of doing, I think it's going to prove to be that and then some. And that's what we want to do. We have a real big shot at making this country so great, so great. What happened to our country?
He's got a lot of
is so
energy for
sad.
being in his
What they've
80s,
done in
though. I'll
4
give him that
years to
much.
our country with the borders, with Afghanistan, the most embarrassing period of time.
He still wouldn't do
allowing the
good in
Russian
prison, though.
situation was never going to happen with Ukraine. Allowing October 7th to happen would have never happened because under me, Iran was totally broke. They had no money. They weren't given any money.
Trump's new
to
slogan
Hamas,
is
Hezbollah,
never
totally
would have
broke.
happened. The most common phrase.
Inflation. Look at what inflation's done to people.
Never
It's
would have
so
happened.
devastating. And now you see that. By the way, price of eggs is down 35% in the last week and a half.
Is that
We're doing
true?
a good job. Brooke
Are
is
eggs
doing a
down?
good job. Brooke Rollins and everybody.
All right. Eggs are down, guys.
Inflation's down. Interest rates are down. Gasoline
That's
has
it.
come down to a level that we haven't seen in a long time. All things that we wanted to do, because then everything else is going to be coming down. We want it to come down. We want bacon to come down and
Bacon,
groceries.
dude. Eggs and
Term I
bacon
used to
are
use is sort
down.
of an old-fashioned term, but I used to use it on the.
We're good, guys.
campaign
We're
trail,
solid.
Those last 90 perfect, beautiful
We're
days.
solid.
We just hit it. And I want to thank Susie. You have done a great job. Susie Wiles.
Eggs and bacon are down, dude. We're good. We're good, guys. America's safe.
A big magazine just named her the most powerful woman in the world, and that's okay with me. She is the most powerful woman. You
I wonder
think
if that's
about it,
true.
John, right?
Are they down?
Most
Eggs
powerful
and
woman
bacon?
in the world, but she's great. And we had a great 90 days. It was a perfect 90 days, and it was a great result. But we want to put that result to good use by doing a phenomenal job. And I want to tell you that Todd and Emil know this very well. We had an amazing judge in Florida, and her name is Eileen Cannon. And I didn't know her. I still don't know her. I don't believe I ever spoke to her, even during the trial. But I did appoint her, federal judge. And these fake lawyers, these horrible human beings, were hitting her so hard,
Horrible.
public relations wise. They were playing the ref. I don't think it's legal. I don't think it's legal. They might as well go out and just shout it in a courthouse. They were saying she was slow, she wasn't smart, she was totally biased, she loved Trump. I didn't know her, other than I saw her the couple of days that I was in court, and I thought her decorum was amazing. Anything bad they could say, though, they were saying about her, it was whatever they could say bad about a human being, all made up. Because actually she was brilliant. She moved quickly. She was the absolute model of what a judge should be. And she was strong and tough. And how do you get them to stop if you're a judge? How do you get them to stop with the playing the ref. Bobby Knight would play the ref. That's why I brought up the Bobby Knight story. He would play the ref. He'd scream at the ref. He'd scream so hard. Oh boy, it was terrible, actually.
This is his friend.
People would come up, his assistant coaches would come up to play. Coach, don't do that. Don't do it. He said he's not going to change his tune, coach. He called it. He's not changing. I don't care. And he screamed. That's when he threw the chair. He starts going crazy. And he said, no, he's not going to change this time, but he's going to change for the next play. And sure as hell he did. You know, Bobby, by the way, had the last undefeated team in basketball. And relatively speaking, you know, he had a team. He always had a team.
This is how he talks about his friends. I would hate to be his enemy.
Obviously, with some top NBA players, but very few. Relatively, he had a team, but he won the national championship 3 times. But he had the last undefeated team in basketball, and he would play the ref, and he would scream at him. He knew exactly what he was doing. They're doing the same thing. He said, no, he's not going to change now, but he's going to change for the next one. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to scare the hell. They wanted to scare the hell out of the judges, and they do it. And how do you stop it if you're a judge? Because you want to go home, you have a family, you have children, and the New York Times will write whatever these people say, and the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and MSDNC, and the fake news CNN,
MSD,
ABC, CBS, and NBC, and they'll write whatever they say. And what do you do to get rid of it? You convict Trump. All you have to do is be really tough on him and ultimately convict him, and they leave you alone. It's totally illegal what they do. I just hope you can all watch for it, but it's totally illegal. And it was so unfair what they were doing to her.
pretty good. Thank you, Mr.
But
Wonderful.
they do
That's
it all
very
the
cool.
time with judges. But in her case, she was
It's
very
been rough.
courageous, and it only made her angry. Wouldn't you say? It just made her angry.
I'm moving to the city
She
soon.
didn't like it. A lot of them say, oh, please don't say that about me. My family, what's my husband going to say? What's my wife going to say? Or my kids? Please don't say that. And it had absolutely no impact on her in the case against me, which was
Cheers.
a case. I will not use a bad word. I promised my wife I would never use a bad word. So just a little bad. The case against me was bullshit. And she correctly dismissed it. She correctly
Said bullshit.
Look at Abel. Look at it. That's interesting. But these two guys were warriors. You got a warrior here. You got 2 warriors.
He said the case against me was
A whole bunch
bullshit.
of them. But and they wouldn't quit.
Obama would never have
They
spoken
wouldn't
like
take no
that,
for an
right?
answer. They just wouldn't quit. These 2 people right
Maybe
up here,
Bush would have.
some others that are involved with it indirectly. And
This is why I voted
what
for
the
him,
lawyers
dude.
do is they're doing it to the Supreme Court justices, hoping that they'll
Oh my God. I love
be
this guy.
overcome by the horrible things they say about it. They say things about Supreme Court justices.
He said the
and
case
judges
against
that
me
are
was
just
bullshit.
horrible. They're playing the ref. Remember the way they treated Justice Thomas and Justice Alito and Justice
Oh,
Kavanaugh.
I love that
Justice
so much.
Gorsuch. Chief Justice Roberts get treated unbelievably badly, and they're hoping that they can sway them to go along.
This
because
is why I
what
voted, right?
do they
He's
do?
funny.
They're humans, you know, like any.
My
it'd be
favorite part.
wonderful if everybody was just a perfect computer machine,
Doesn't care.
but they're not. They're humans, and they don't want to be accused of many things, including gross incompetence. They don't like it, and they don't want it. There's not much they can do about it. You know, they're in a position they can't really fight back really very well.
Case against me was
And
bullshit.
so what they do is sometimes they get weak. I would say a majority, maybe, of the times. That's why I'm so impressed with Judge Cannon in Florida, how strong she was, how she held up. It actually made her more resolute than anything I've seen. I mean, it was amazing because they were hitting her so hard. It was so sad to watch this. It's
Sad.
sad what they do to other judges. It's very sad what they do to the Supreme
Here,
Court.
check him out again.
And all of
I'm gonna see if
a
I
lot
can
of the
combine these
judges
2
that
screens in the
I
future.
had, if you look at them, they take tremendous abuse in the New York Times and the Washington Post, all of the different networks. They take such abuse. And honestly, they're very simply, they're afraid of bad publicity. They don't want bad publicity. And it's truly interference, in my opinion, and it should be illegal, and it probably is illegal in some form. There's no difference than speaking to a judge or shouting to a judge or doing whatever you have to do in a courthouse. They're doing
Yeah,
it behind
I
the
agree,
back. They're
Mr.
usually
Wonderful.
doing
They don't know
it
what to do with him.
anonymously. They're saying anonymously off the record. The judge is no good, but everybody knows where it's coming
He's at the
from.
Department of Justice.
And it's totally coordinated. It's a campaign.
People that tried
and
to
it's by
arrest
the
him.
same scum that you have been
Now
dealing
he's
with
doing a
for
victory
years,
lap
like guys like
in their
Andrew
headquarters,
Weissman,
right?
deranged Jack Smith. There's a guy named Norm Eisen. I don't even know what he looks like. His name is Norm Eisen.
That's funny.
He's been after me
It's
for
ironic.
9 years. Now, Crew is a charitable organization. And the reason I'm saying this to
Life
him
is a
I'm only gonna
simulation.
get
This
one
is a
chance to say
script.
this. But
Somebody
these are
wrote
bad
this.
people. I don't know who he is. I don't know
It's
what
too
he looks
good.
like. But everything I read is Norm Eisen of Crew. And Crew is a charitable organization. And that's a political thing. His sole life is to get Donald Trump. And he's been vicious and violent. And he's trying. And he probably had pretty good success over the years. But with me, how did he do? I think I'm president. Am I here because I'm president? But we had to take all of that abuse.
He said, "I think I'm president."
We had to take tremendous abuse. Like, these wonderful guys, they're not legitimate people.
That's what they get.
They're horrible people. They're scum. And you have to know that. And you're going to have these cases where you can't allow yourselves to be deflected. You just can't let it happen. You have such a higher calling. And I believe that CNN and MSDNC, who literally write 97.6% bad about me, are political arms of the Democrat Party. And in my opinion, they're really corrupt and they're illegal. What they do
Yeah, I
is
thought he'd
illegal.
do more.
It makes no difference how big a victory I had.
I'm doing good, big dog.
Victory in history.
Thank you.
It makes no difference
You're
what
pretty good.
kind of a failure the other side has. These people are going to go after me. And I said
Trying to figure out
the
this
other
whole
night
YouTube
during
thing.
the big speech on Tuesday night.
Doing politics now.
I
Getting
said,
a lot of hate for it.
Democrats, I don't like that. I have
I'm
great
persevering,
respect, by the way,
like
for
Trump.
what Schumer did today. He went out and he said that
Trump
they have to vote with the Republicans.
has inspired
'cause it's
me.
the right thing to do. I couldn't believe what I heard. But
Not
I
to
think
listen
he's
to
gonna
the
get some
haters.
credit for it. I think let's see what happens tonight with the big vote as it comes. But these networks and these newspapers are really no different than a highly paid political operative.
Thanks,
And
Garrett.
it has
Yeah.
to stop. It has to be illegal.
I was thinking that yesterday.
Influencing judges.
Exactly, dude.
It's really changing.
That's how I know.
And it just cannot be legal. I don't believe it's legal. And they do it in total coordination with each other. And everything we do, we're restoring law, restoring order, and restoring public safety in America.
I like
That's what
law
we
and
wanna
order.
do. And we're bringing honor and integrity and accountability back to the highest levels of the FBI, DOJ, and throughout our government. We're bringing our country
divided
back
on this.
faster than anyone ever thought possible. We're working so hard at doing it. And
Because I'm also
we
an
want
anarchist.
fairness in the courts. The courts are a big factor. The elections, which were totally rigged,
Yeah, Garrett.
are a big
Probably.
factor. We have to have
No
honest
other way.
elections. We have to have borders, and we have to have courts and law that's fair. Well, we're not going to have a country. Crooked Joe Biden got us into a real mess with
The
Russia
Biden crime
and
family, he
everything
said
else he
earlier.
did, frankly, but he didn't know about it, and he, generally speaking, signed it with AutoPen. So how would he know that AutoPen is a big deal? I don't know.
Dude.
And having who's doing this? So
Can you believe
when
it?
my people come up, Will and all of the people, Steve, they come up and sir, this is an executive order.
Can you
They
believe
explain
it?
to me, and,
Biden was
90% of the time I
electronically
sign it,
signing
99%
documents.
of the time I say do it.
Electronically. You know what you do when you're doing applications online?
It's number one, it's disrespect.
The president.
Office. Number two, maybe it's not even valid because who's getting him to sign? He had no idea what the hell he was doing. If he did, all of these bad things wouldn't be happening right now.
It's so crazy,
But
dude.
we're going to get you back into a great position, and we've already started. They say that we had the most successful
Exactly, Garrett.
first month
Oh,
of
hi, Ma.
presidency. Not a long time, but it's still a lot.
Mom's in the
It's
chat.
like if you're a golfer,
Cheers.
sinking a 3-foot putt on the first hole gives you confidence to sink something on the second hole. But if you miss that first putt, you don't like to have the putt on the second hole.
Oh, is
or
that
the
true?
third hole. It could be a
Mr.
very
Wonderful,
bad
do they all do it?
experience. It's
Then
nice
why
to
is
get
Trump
that first
criticizing
month,
him?
And now we have more than a month. Now we have a month and a half. And it's going really, really well. I can tell you as a little secret, although the cameras are blazing back there, so it's not that much. But I think we're doing well, as you have been hearing about Ukraine. I think we're doing now well with Russia. We're speaking with President Putin.
Well, we'll see what he says. You don't know if you're doing well until they agree.
We spent maybe $350 billion to Europe's. Think of that, $350 billion to $100 billion, and yet
yeah, anybody could have done
the
it.
ocean far away, so it shouldn't have been that way.
Anybody could have signed those documents.
And we're getting a deal where we're going to get that back, but much more importantly are the lives that we're talking about. On average,
No, Biden was a
2,000
mess,
young
dude.
people are being killed every single day. Now, they're not from here. They're from nowhere close to here, but they're young people. They're human beings, and they have parents. They have sisters and brothers, the mothers and fathers, the friends and the families and the towns where they grew up. And they're losing, on average, 2,000, even 2,500 a week.
Yeah.
I want to get it stopped. And we've had
but it's up to Russia.
some very good calls today with Russia.
It's not
and
up to Ukraine.
They've agreed for a ceasefire if we can get it with Russia.
Of course, the Ukraine
And
agrees
it's
to
not
stop
easy.
fighting. Like,
It's a tough one. But I think we're doing it. And as the Secretary General
yeah,
said
it's up to Russia
yesterday,
to stop
NATO,
attacking.
a terrific guy. He said without Trump, we wouldn't be talking about it. It would just go on for years and millions more people.
But I agree.
Millions of people have been killed, but millions more people would be killed.
I think Kamala
And he
wouldn't have
said
done
it was a
anything.
great honor. Without me, it would just keep going on. We're looking for the ceasefire now with Russia, and we've had some very
Yeah.
good talks about it. We've had some very good responses.
I criticize Trump sometimes
And,
about
I
how
can
he's
tell
dealing
you
with
that
Ukraine,
There was a case where there would have been no war
but
if I were president.
at least he's doing something.
And it's
So
just
that's good.
100% would not have happened, would never have happened. I used to speak to President Putin a lot about it. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. I won't tell you what the consequence was. I won't tell you what but if he believed even 5% of what I said, then he would say, I'm not going to do it. And I think he did. But we had a good relationship, and we had a professional relationship, and his respect for this country. And I think we've had some very good results. So, I haven't been able to say that to anybody else. I haven't wanted to say it until just before I came here. I got some pretty good news. So, but we have to see what happens. It's a long way to go. The fighting is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Russia has a large group of Ukrainian soldiers, as we speak, surrounded and in grave danger.
Yeah,
They've been
Kursk,
able
I think.
to surround them. They're in grave danger. Biden should have never let this war happen. First of all,
It's
you don't
hard.
want to pick on somebody that's a lot larger than you, even with the money. There's a lot of money that we gave them and a lot of equipment. We make the best military equipment in the world, but even with all of that, it's unbelievable. Right now, you
I'm
have a lot
surprised
of
Putin
Ukrainian
hasn't used
soldiers that are encircled
nukes.
and in grave danger, and I've asked them not to kill those soldiers, please, not to kill those soldiers. We don't want them killed. It's such a shame to see what's happened. A thing like that would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Israel, Iran had no money. They were totally
Bold
broke.
claims.
Think of it.
I don't
They
know
had no
if
money
he
to
can
give
make
to
those kind of
anybody.
claims.
They were totally broke. And within a short period of time, as soon as Biden came in, he took out all the sanctions. And China and everybody else that wasn't buying oil from Iran was buying it at levels that they never spent.
It's easy to
before.
say it would have never happened.
And
You don't
it
know if that's
was-
true.
It was a sad thing. And if you look at Afghanistan, that was probably what got Putin started, because when he looked at how horribly we looked, I think the most embarrassing day, not that we got out.
See you
because
later,
we were
Garrett.
getting out. I would have been out faster than them. I was the one that got it down to the right level. But we would have kept Bagram, the big Air Force base. We would have kept it. Right now, China occupies Bagram. And
China?
the reason we would have kept it is because they were 1 hour away from where China has and builds its nuclear missiles and weapons.
That part is crazy.
And
I
they
can't
gave
believe
that
that's
up.
true.
At the dark of night, they
How
left
does
the
that
lights
happen?
on, and they left the dogs behind, by the way. A lot of people say, what about all the dogs? They had a lot of dogs, and they left the dogs behind. And
Trump cares about dogs.
What a shame. What
Headline.
a shame. The way we got out, I think it was the most humiliating time in the history of our country. The way it happened, not that we were getting out, because we wanted to get out, but we would have gotten out with dignity and strength. And what a difference a rigged and crooked election had on our country when you think about it. And the people who did this to us should go to jail. They should go to jail. So I just want to say God bless America, because we have to say God bless. We're lucky we're still here.
What does
frankly.
paper tiger mean?
And this
Excuse
whole
me,
thing
I'm
could
an immigrant.
lead, I think we have it. I think we have
English
it.
is my second language.
But this could
I don't know a
lead
lot of
to
phrases
World
still after
War
25
III.
years.
Very easily, could very easily
Explain
lead to
paper
World
tiger,
War III,
please,
but I think we're
Mr.
in pretty
Wonderful.
good shape. A lot better than we were before.
Mr. Wonderful's
we
a
got
billionaire.
involved, that I can tell
Cheers.
you. That was heading into World War III territory. That would have been a war like no other because of nuclear weapons and other types of weapons that people you don't even want to know about.
I'd like to make
But
billions
as many
someday.
of you do know, well, we're focused on persecuting, and these people were really focused on persecuting Republicans. The last administration presided over the worst increase in violent crime in our country in many, many decades. We had levels of violence and crime, and a lot of it had to do with the illegal immigrants that came in. Remember when I used to complain about it?
Okay, I see.
Because I knew how tough they were, how mean they were. And they said, no, people that come into our country.
They're strong on
are
paper,
all
but not in
wonderful
reality.
people.
Okay.
They're not wonderful. These are stone cold killers. These are killers like, they make our killers look nice by
Could be.
comparison. They make our killers look nice.
Yeah, I don't know
rough,
much
tough
about NATO.
People with the tattoos all over their face. Historically speaking, I don't want to discriminate against anybody, but historically speaking, they're not going to be the head of any major bank that we know of. These are rough people. These are rough killer people, and they allowed them in by the millions.
Tattoos on their
In
face.
major cities like New York, Chicago, and Washington, mothers can't walk their children to the park without fear of being shot or killed or raped or anything. Women can't ride the subway without worrying that a hoodlum will shove them onto the train tracks.
Yeah, the city
In
has
New
become
York, it's
quite
happened
dangerous,
twice in the
actually.
last couple of weeks. They're
This is
standing
true.
there, perfect Wall Street gentleman in one case, and another
San Diego's
person
a
who's
mess downtown.
good worker, electrician, gets pushed into a train going 45 miles an hour just prior to the train, not stopping, going to go through that. So I know the stations very well. I used to take the subway. I used to feel safe when I was young. I'd go to my parents would drop
Trump
me
would
off
take
at
the subway?
I'd take the subway to my school. Could you believe it? Today, they wouldn't be doing that. And we want to get a country back maybe where you can do that again, Pam. But it's so sad to see what's taking place under the Biden regime. Average monthly homicides increased
The
by
Biden crime
14%.
family.
Property crime rose tremendously. Violent crime went up at least 37% that they know of. Rape soared by 42%. Car theft rose by 48%. And robberies surged to 63 to 100%. They don't even know what the number is. And I have no higher mission as President of the United States than to end this killing and stop this law breaking and to making America safe again. And that's what you're all about in this room. We want to protect Americans, and we protect everybody that's in our country, American or not American. We want to have a safe and proud country. We're joined today by dozens of police officers, sheriffs and sheriff's deputies from all across the country. My message to these law enforcement heroes is simple. With me in the White House, you once again have a president who will always have your back, will always have your back.
Yeah, they want to defund the police, which is kind of crazy. Unless they give everybody a free gun. Give everybody a gun.
That's a lot of good-looking
An AR.
people. I will tell you, I feel safe. I'm glad you're in the room. I feel even safer. It's a lot of great people. On day one, I signed
You
an
know?
executive order directing Attorney General to ensure that anyone
Yeah,
who
Mr.
murders
Wonderful.
a
I've seen
police
Alec Baldwin.
officer immediately, with as
He's
fast
okay.
a trial as we can have, gets the death penalty.
I don't like the death penalty. I do not support the death penalty, personally speaking.
And last month, I fired all the radical left pro-crime U.S. attorneys appointed by Joe Biden. There were so many that were bad. And I know there were some that were probably very good, but there were so many that were so bad and so evil, so corrupt. Instead of having Marxist prosecutors who want to put police officers in handcuffs and go after a police officer rather than a criminal, I appointed patriotic, tough-on-crime warriors who will partner with police to put dangerous offenders behind bars, put them in jail. We're fully reviving 1033 program to provide state and local law enforcement with surplus military equipment, that we have so much of it. I did it in my last administration, and I remember
Oh,
Obama
no, I haven't
wouldn't
seen
do
that.
it. He wouldn't do it before me, would not do it because he thought it made them look too strong, too military. I said, no, that's what I want them to look like. I want them to look strong. And it was protective, defensive equipment. We had billions of dollars. I gave it out, and now I'm going to have a chance to give it out again. They didn't want to do it with Biden, and Biden didn't know why. I didn't, if they would have asked him, he wouldn't have been able to answer the question. He could never answer a question. They said my press conference yesterday was longer than all of Biden's press conferences put together for the last 4 years. And I don't know if that's true, but it was close.
Yeah, Trump does talk to the media a lot, way more than Biden.
We're securing our border and repelling the invasion of America. We have.
I'll check it out.
The numbers have come down. So, and Tom Homan and Christie have been incredible. Christie Nome.
I mean, he talks to the media every single day.
And Tom Homan is
every day.
Tom Homan's here, but wherever he may be, I think he's chasing people.
I think that should be mandatory for the president.
Be disappointed. What are you doing, Tom?
You have to check in every day with the people.
Over the past 4 years, other countries emptied out their prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums.
Yeah, I would make that
sent the killers, drug smugglers, and bloodthirsty inmates from the filthiest dungeons of the world straight into the USA. And open border. We had an open border policy. Anybody could come in, no matter what you were, no matter where you came from.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Like. No matter what you were doing, no matter what you did, no matter how many people you murdered, you could come right into our country. We have murderers right now walking the streets.
How does that work, by the way? I never really understood that part. Like, did they just tell the people that were protecting the border? They just tell them to stop protecting the border? Like, how did they open the border? Can anybody explain this to me? How does that work? Because we have border patrol people, right? How did it happen that did they get an order from like the up top? Did like people call them and say, hey, stop patrolling the border? Is that what happened? Right? Like what happened to I want to talk to a border patrol agent. Like how do you open the border when you're the president or the vice president? In detail. I would like to know in detail how that happens. I think I have the right to know as a citizen, right? Like what happens in a practical boots on the ground kind of way whenever they open the border? Do they just stop protecting it? Like imagine you're there, teleport yourself there. There's a border patrol agent watching the border with his eyeballs, and then there's people hopping the border, and are they legally not allowed to do anything about it? Like, they're supposed to not do anything about it and just sit there? Because that's basically what happened, right? Like, they stopped enforcing the border. But that's so crazy. Did they get a call from, like, the vice president? Like, hey, let them in. Because how else do you get, like, millions of people to come over? Over the 4 years, there's, like, millions of people that came over, right? That means that of the thousands of border patrol people, nobody was doing their job because they got a call from the president that told them to not do their job. How come they didn't tell the rest of the people? Like, how does this work? I'm so confused about how this happens. How does border patrol stop doing their job? I mean, how else would the border be open? Yeah, this whole border thing is confusing to me. I really don't get how they open the border and let people in. How does that work in a practical way?
We're joined today by Tammy Nobles, whose 20-year-old daughter, Kayla, was attacked in her home 3 years ago, horrifically assaulted and strangled to death by an illegal alien MS-13 monster set loose into our country under the open border
Makes no
Biden
sense.
regime.
Open border. Somebody explain to me what that means.
Victims ripped away from their families by the open border policies of that administration.
And how is it?
Also joined by Kayla's stepfather,
my nose is itching like crazy.
And several other courageous angel families.
And how is it possible?
I'd love you to all just stand up and take a bow.
How is it allowed?
Incredible people, please. Thank you.
So when you're president, you're allowed to open the border? Do we give you that kind of power?
Thank you.
You can just take away the border guards?
Thank you very much.
This needs to be investigated. Am I crazy here? Like,
Thank you.
what happened?
But I want you to know that we are working every day to expel these savages from our country and ensure that what happened to your loved ones will never happen again. So their legacy is going to be a great one. Thank you all.
We
very
need to
much.
investigate the
Appreciate
Biden
it.
administration's actions.
On day one of my administration, I declared a national emergency on our southern border. Our first full month in office, we achieved the lowest level of illegal
Lowest
border
level?
crossings ever recorded. Okay, even lower than 4 years ago.
First month. That's kind of impressive if true. If true.
For years, Democrats and the media kept saying that we needed new legislation. We had to have new legislation. We needed it immediately. And I never had legislation, and I had the best
This is his
border
face right now.
in the history of our country for almost 4 years. And by the time I got out, we had the lowest numbers ever. My favorite chart of all time was brought down that day. And on that chart said we had the lowest numbers ever. But it turned out that we really didn't need new legislation. All you needed was a new president. And I said that the other night. That's all you needed was a new president saying, close the borders, because the Border Patrol is unbelievable, ICE is unbelievable, and all of our law enforcement.
Meaning the border was
incredible.
open.
All of you guys are
How's that
amazing,
possible,
and
dude?
the people of our country respect you and they love you. And a lot
Loses
of times
my
you
mind
don't hear
for
that because you have to
border
listen to the fake news back there, but they have great respect for you. So I just want you to know that. And you know, that includes our fire departments too. They don't get spoken
I don't
about
understand
enough.
American
You know,
politics.
they
There,
go
I
to
said it.
some of the areas I read where they're shooting them off ladders. Can you believe it? They go
I don't
to
get
put
it.
out a fire, Leo, and they go and they shoot them off a ladder. It's just unbelievable. These firemen and women are incredible. So I want to put them in the same category because they're just incredible. I also like that the fact they voted for me like at 94%. So I have to mention them. I have no choice, right? But the truth is they're phenomenal people. The law enforcement, fire, everybody, they're phenomenal. Basically first responders, because that's what they are. They're first responders. And we're ending the migrant occupation of America. And what we're doing now is we're liberating our cities and our suburbs and our towns. And you see a big difference. I'm getting calls all the time from even leaders of other countries saying, sir, the whole world feels liberated now. It feels like there's a light over America, but there's a light over the whole world. I hear that so much. It's so nice to hear, too. And I feel it. I mean, I feel it.
I feel
look
it.
at-
Do
I
you
see
feel the
polls.
hope
I don't know if the
in
polls
the
are
air?
right, but they're certainly very good. I'll take them right now. It's amazing what's taken place in such a short period of time. Really 6 weeks, but it's longer than that. It's really November 5th. I think that hopefully will go down, if you do your job great, it'll go down as the most important day, one of them at least in the history of our country. You know, July 4th was pretty, 1776, it was pretty important too.
Kind of
But
important.
let's see if we can
Slightly
top it. Can
important.
we top it? I don't know. That's a tough one, but we're going to try. But it will be one of the most important days in the history of our country. So
Only
I think,
Trump.
and I think
He's
everybody
saying his
knows
election
that,
was more
last
important
month
than
we officially
July 4th.
designated MS-13 and Trendiragua. That's the Venezuelan gang, the toughest gang they say in the world, and the Mexican drug cartels
That's
as
crazy.
foreign terrorist organizations. That's a big deal. Nobody wanted to do that. But they have. And by the way, we've caught hundreds of them, the Venezuelan gang, which is as bad as it gets. And you'll be reading a lot of stories tomorrow about what we've done with them. And you'll be very impressed.
What do they do with
A lot
them?
safer too, because they are a vicious group. They went into Colorado.
What do they do with
took
the
over
prisoners?
Areas of Colorado. They sort of were like me. They were in the real estate business, but they didn't go out and get financing. They just took over a building. And
Yeah,
kept it.
with guns.
And they said to the tenants, "Get the hell out of here." One man called the police.
Can you believe
and they
you could
cut
just
off
do
his
that?
Fingers, and they say, "You call again, your other fingers, and you call a third time, and you're dead." These are tough people and bad people, and we're getting them out of our country. And some are so bad we don't want to get them out. We have to put them in jail because we don't want to even take a chance that they can come back. Thanks to our efforts, Mexico recently handed over 29
That's a good
of the biggest
idea.
cartel leaders, including the depraved kingpin charged with the 1985 murder of DE agent Kiki Camarana. And that was a big deal. If you know, they've been looking for this person for years, many years, and we got him. This evil killer will be now prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And we know that, let's put it this way, I have to be nice. It's a very strong case. We're stopping the criminals pouring across our borders at record levels, and we're also stopping the massive
Cheers.
quantities of deadly
I like
drugs.
that.
In 2023 alone, drug overdoses killed more Americans in 12 months than they did during the entire decade between 1980 and 1990. So 10 times
Wow.
more, but it's much higher than that. More Americans died from fentanyl last year than died in the Korean War or the Iraq War or the Afghanistan War, all of them combined. That's why I've placed large tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, and they will remain in place until these deadly poisons stop pouring into our country. And I will tell
By
you,
the way,
as soon as I
Canada
put
has
on the
had
tariffs on Mexico,
Canada's had tariffs against the US for a while. I think I heard yesterday like 200 and something percent tariff on dairy that Canada's been having. And I think they were talking to the governor of Toronto, and because he's threatening to turn off the electricity that's flowing into America from Canada. And the reporter asked him, he said, "Well, what about 200+% tariffs that Canada has on dairy to the US?" And the guy just ignored the question. He didn't even answer it, which means it's true, right? That's how I understand it. When somebody doesn't answer a question, it means that the accusation is true. But nobody's talking about that part, right? Everybody's upset that Trump is pushing away our allies and with the tariffs against Mexico and Canada. But it's like, yeah, but they are not treating us good either, economically speaking, or with trade. I mean, I don't think he's just out there making enemies for no reason, right? His point is that trade with these countries is not good for us because they're taking advantage of America because America is nice. So I don't think he's just like pissing off his allies. I think the point here is that Canada and Mexico have made bad deals with us where they get way more out of the trade than we do. And they're allowed to put tariffs against our country, and they have been. 15% or 25% is nothing compared to 225%. That's crazy, dude. This is just something that I heard yesterday.
Canada and China. Unbelievable results have been seen in the last few weeks. Unbelievable results. They weren't happy about it. You probably read they weren't happy, but they are
No.
working like hell.
Canada's getting a
They
new
weren't
prime
working
minister,
very
too.
hard before I did that. With us today is a brave mother and advocate, Ann Funder, who lost her beautiful 15-year-old son, Weston, to fentanyl. And Ann, if you would, I'd like to ask you to come up and say a few words, please. Thank you.
San Diego's awesome, doll. San Diego's legit. Although it's been cold here, too. Wow, they have evidence up there? Yeah, I don't want to listen to her talk. I'm going to skip that part. It's just some random lady.
Thank you, Ann, very much. Weston is, as you said to Ann, Weston is.
No, it's not. I don't think it's ever snowed in San Diego.
He's so proud of you.
Although it's really cold here
He's so
now.
proud of you. Thank you. We're also joined today by a number of other American families who have lost loved ones to fentanyl, and I'd love you to just stand up for a second, and we want to acknowledge you.
Well, anyway, I think the speech is mostly over. That was a long speech. Not Trump's longest. He likes to go for a while. But I thought it was funny that he's given a speech at the Department of Justice about how just a few months ago they were trying to put him into jail. Like, that to me is so ironic. It's like a victory lap. Like he's dancing on the grave of his enemies. And it's so insane to me to think that if he never got elected this time around, he would have been in jail. That's insane, dude. Like, he would have been wearing a jumpsuit instead of a suit with the little presidential pin on it, on the lapel. I mean, American politics is crazy, but politics everywhere is kind of crazy. It's kind of surreal. I think it's going to become boring again. I hope it's going to become boring again because it shouldn't be a spectacle, right? I don't think politics should be a spectacle. Politics should be like administrative, boring paperwork. You know, we shouldn't be. It shouldn't be this exciting. Like, I think it's a problem that politics is a spectacle and that it's exciting because it shouldn't be that way. Like, that's not the point, right? The point is that these people should be taking care of society. There shouldn't be wars within the government. That's insane, dude. So I hope that in the future politics will become boring because that means that they are going to be doing something right. But then we're not going to be able to have good content. It's like reality TV, right? So I'm taking advantage of this moment and enjoying it. You know, I'm enjoying the spectacle that is American politics. But in my heart, I realize that it's wrong, that it's a spectacle. And I hope that my kids are going to have really boring politics. That's how it should be. We shouldn't even know about what's going on most of the time. But we have to because it's dishonest. If it was honest, then nobody would care, right? People would just be like, oh, let the people do their job. But because it's dishonest, it's exciting. Ooh, what are they up to now? Like the kind of stuff that Elon Musk is discovering with Doge. I mean, he's talking about like people who are dead are still receiving paychecks, or children, 11-year-old children, are receiving business loans. It's like, dude, I want a business loan. I'm not a child. Give me a business loan. It's crazy because sometimes I feel guilty about not even doing crime things, just like selling to people. I feel guilty trying to sell something to people, right? I feel like I'm doing something wrong, which is probably not correct. And yet there are people in our society and in our government that are doing straight up fraud. And what, they don't feel bad? They just like go to sleep at night like, yeah, everything is cool. You know? Like they're setting up fake companies and then funding them through the government and getting away with it. And we're over here like struggling to get bacon and eggs. That's insane to me. So yeah, I'm kind of behind. Like at first, I was skeptical about Doge because they're technically expanding the government, right? They're creating a new department, but seeing as all the stuff that they've discovered about how people are stealing money from the taxpayers, I'm kind of behind it. I think it's a good idea that they did this. But yeah, Elon Musk is really suffering through it. Like his stock went down so much, dude. I think it went down by like half of what it was at peak Tesla stock. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. You know, I don't know what I'm talking about. I really don't. I'm not even educated. I went to college for one semester. Scratch that. I went to study filmmaking and I didn't even finish one semester. I dropped out before the first finals. I didn't want to take the finals. So I really don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to politics. You know, you can see my channel is just like a guy in a chair, just spouting off nonsense. It's entertainment. That's what it is. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's just entertainment. Try not to get so hot and bothered by it. You know, because I'm not an expert, you know. I'm not even close to being an expert. I just have opinions and I like to hear myself speak. So that's that. Cheers. Thank you guys for joining me on the live. Very cool. I'm experimenting with this live stuff. I'm experimenting with different kind of stuff on YouTube. I think next time I'm gonna try to go live with the speech on the screen as well, right? I think that would be a lot more entertaining. Like if you could see Trump while I comment on it. I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure it out. But yeah, what do you guys think? Are you guys enjoying politics? Well, I shouldn't ask that because I know. I already know my comments are so terrible these days. Like, holy crap. Some of them are really, like, really mean, you know? But alas, this is the internet. I would rather see you than Trump. Oh, hell yeah. Cheers. Well, Trump's not an ugly guy, but yeah, he's getting old, you know? Yeah, I thought I'd try something new. But I'm getting kind of tired of politics, to be honest with you. Just the negativity. Like, I've been thinking about making videos about the Ukrainian war, but I'm kind of over it already. Like, I feel like I owe it to my people because I'm from Ukraine, you know. So I feel like I owe it to them to make videos about it. But I'm kind of like sick of it. I'm kind of sick of the war and talking about it. And I have some horrible videos, but I don't want to share it. I've been thinking a lot about this. I got some videos from Ukraine of some really terrible things that are going down over there, right? And I've been thinking about whether to do a video about it. But what's stopping me is that I don't want to disseminate darkness on my channel. I've already been talking smack anyway. So I don't want to make people feel bad, you know? Like I think everybody's kind of sick and tired of hearing about the war. And maybe that's true for politics as well, you know? Maybe I should stop doing politics as well. Because I'm kind of interested in it, but I'm not like super interested in politics, you know? Like a little bit. Just as far as it's entertaining, as far as Donald Trump is being funny, then I'm interested in politics. But otherwise, I don't really care for it. It's really negative and terrible. So, I don't know. I'm trying to find my voice. I'm trying to see what kind of videos I want to do since I stopped making vlogs because I still want to do videos. You know, YouTube is a lot of fun. So, I don't know. I don't know what kind of videos to make. Although I am going to be moving into the city pretty soon, and the city offers a lot of interesting things. So, I have a feeling I might find something interesting in the city to talk about. You know, San Diego. I'm moving closer to the city, and like right now, it's flooding over there. If I was walking around with the camera, that'd be a lot more interesting, right? Not to say that flooding is not terrible. It is terrible, but it would probably make for better content than politics. But yeah, I just think Trump is a funny guy. You know, like never have we had in the past, or ever will we have in the future, such a entertaining. Because he came from television. He's literally a reality TV star, and I think he still behaves that way. So that's why maybe I'll tone it down a little bit with the politics and then just check in whenever it's super entertaining. Like whenever Trump says some ridiculous things, then I'll check in with him. I think I might just do that instead of just covering everything that he's doing. Cuz my heart is not in it, you know. And I don't enjoy pissing people off. I really don't. I don't like dividing people, you know. And what more divisive thing than politics? I mean, politics has become more divisive than religion or money or class or anything else. I think if you want to really split a room in half, bring up who you voted for, right? So I might slow down on the politics. I might just do that. Oh. Ukraine could end up losing most of its coastal land. Odessa would become more popular tourist spot for Hillary's Ukrainian future, I predict. Yeah, I hope that's not true, doll. I hope that's not true at all. It's very sad what's happening. I think in the future that they will get their land back. You know, I still think that somehow Putin's going to pay for what he did. I don't know how, but I believe in the scales of justice. Speaking of justice, you know, Trump was talking at the Justice Department here, right? I think somehow in the future, you know, karma or whatever you want to call it, well, Putin wants to take Ukraine for himself. That's, you know, he wants to take it. He wants it to go back to the Soviet Union. Putin is a Soviet Union kind of guy. He is a communist in his heart, you know. He wants to restore the Soviet Union because it was a glorious empire. And so he wants to take all the countries that used to be, wants to take them. This is why I think it's important for Europe. And again, this is not America's problem, right? Like Trump said many times, there's an ocean between us. But Europe should be worried because I think that Putin wants to expand Russia into Europe. I think he wants to take the European countries. He's not being very shy about it either. It's not like, you know, it's not like you have to really think hard in order to come to that conclusion. Like he wants to expand the land, you know. So Europe should be worried about this. They should be funding or whatever, helping Ukraine a lot more than they are. Because they're just, I mean, but if America's going to pick up the tab, then why would they, you know, right? If America's already paying for it, why would they have to do it? But yeah, it's more their problem than ours here in America, but it is a problem. Like I think he wants to take over land, you know, and expand his empire. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was kind of an experimental live stream, you know. Just kind of wanted to see how it's gonna go down. I've created a new setup here for live streaming. I don't live by a coast, but believe the coastline is, yeah, it is the best part of any country. This is what Trump was saying to Kim Jong-un. He said North Korea has a lot of potential for, what was he saying, like resorts. You know, he was trying to tell Kim Jong-un that if he stops being a despot, then he can make a lot of money by building resorts on his coastal land. It is the most valuable land. If you look at where all the populations live in most countries, it's by the coast. It's where trade happens, international trade. It's where tourism happens. It's where most people hang out. You know, so it's true. Coastal land is the most valuable land. It's access to the rest of the world, right? You go back all the way in history. Coastal land has always been the most valuable, especially in California. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This was kind of an experiment. I'm going to continue experimenting with live streaming. Something that I want to look into more. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for how I should do these live streams. And I will read them. And I'll see what I can do. But yeah, thanks for everybody who commented and watched and liked and all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys on the flippity flop.